President Barack Obama and Benjamin Netanyahu, is this a long-standing fight? What does this mean now?
It is a long-standing fight, and it's interesting that sort of on his way out the door, President Obama would break not just precedent with, with our history, but even with his own administration in the past. He has instructed his ambassador to the UN to veto such resolutions. Now on the way out, he is the one who has broken precedent. And I do think it's an opportunity for Donald Trump, who is sort of lucked into so many things. This is obviously a very serious thing. But if you're Donald Trump now coming into the White House and you're immediately going to have this strengthened relationship with the leader of an ally, someone who has been having a very difficult relationship with an American president for 8 years, this is probably good news for Donald Trump coming in, inheriting this situation.
All right, and Selena, to you, let me read you what Benjamin Netanyahu said just yesterday. Quote, "From the information we have no doubt that the administration initiated it, stood behind it, coordinated on the wording, and demanded that it be passed." He went on to say, "We will do whatever is necessary so that Israel will not be damaged by the shameful resolution." I mean, not mincing words there. But here's the thing. This is the first time that the Obama administration, in nearly 8 years, has allowed a UN Security Council resolution that is critical of Israel to pass. The first time. That same thing happened 6 times under President George W. Bush, 9 times under President George H.W. Bush. But this is a first for the Obama administration. And Netanyahu is basically saying there was collusion between the administration and the United Nations.
Well, I think the big difference is the relationship that Obama and Netanyahu have had between each other. It has always been frosty to prickly, and they've never sort of seen eye to eye on a number of things. So I'm not surprised that Netanyahu took such a strong stance. And I think it was really interesting that he then leapt over Obama and went right to the new administration and sort of talked about, like, going forward, he's looking forward to this great relationship with America, one that we've had since Israel was founded.
Okay, so before we get into that one president at a time, David, what is the proof that that the Obama administration coordinated this? What is the concrete proof of that?
Well, I think whether or not we have concrete proof is beside the point. I mean, clearly, this is unusual for the Obama administration. It's unusual, generally speaking, for the United States. So the idea that we just decided, what the heck, let's just throw in and let the resolution pass on something. It
happened under these other Republican presidents.
Yeah, but it's not relevant to this particular point because the Obama administration, in particular, has been critical of settlements. And no other U.S. government, and in fact the Palestinians, never really made an issue of settlements until the Obama administration decided that they were standing in the way of a peace deal. And I think what's interesting here, and you can understand the frustration that Obama has with Netanyahu. They haven't gotten along. That speech before Congress, Obama felt as though Netanyahu poked him in the eye and broke protocol. On the other hand, under Ariel Sharon, Israel vacated the Gaza Strip, and they got nothing for it. So they forcibly removed settlers, dismantled settlements, and all they got were terrorists and missiles.
So in 2011, as you know, this same administration vetoed another settlements resolution at the United Nations, and the argument made by Ben Rhodes, FBI NSA director, is essentially you've seen an acceleration of settlement building, and we believe this is going to be a roadblock to a two-state solution, which Netanyahu still publicly supports.
Right. Rhodes is wrong, though, because first of all, what they're dealing with this resolution is not distinguishing between settlements in the West Bank and settlements that we know are going to be a part of in Israel if we ever get to a two-state solution. We're dealing with so-called settlements in East Jerusalem, so-called settlements behind the security barrier. Israel does not consider these settlements. They consider these things home building. The Palestinians obviously look at it differently, but they didn't even distinguish between that in this resolution. Also, this is happening less than 30 days before Obama leaves office. So this is not as though the president gets now to effect a change in policy. It looks like a parting shot, and that is part of, I think, what really rubbed Israel the wrong way.
But according to the Obama administration, they said it's not a parting shot. They said that basically what they're saying, before I read what happened with the Oslo Accords, what have you, is that this is a land grab by Israel, and that Israel is not abiding by the resolutions that had already been there.
Right, I understand how the administration looks at it. I think, though, that if we
and also other members of the United Nations as well.
Right, look, I mean, look, and you can find members of the Israeli left that are going to be critical of Netanyahu, but there's a reason why Netanyahu has been in power this long. You know, his first stint as prime minister didn't go so well, didn't last so long. He's been in power this long because the Israeli left politically has not been as successful as they used to be because Israel is concerned about their security, and that's why Netanyahu's policies have worked so well politically inside his own country.
So obviously President-elect Trump, Matt, as you know, came out, he tweeted about this, he's talked about this, said things will be different at the UN after I take over January 20th. There's a lot of questions right now about whether the United States will pull funding from the UN. I mean, the U.S. is 1/5 of UN's total annual funding. Senator Lindsey Graham is now pushing legislation for that, he said, unless this resolution is overturned. Is that a reality? Is that going to happen?
Well, I don't know about that, but look, Donald Trump has basically run on a premise that America needs to be, making unilateral and bilateral deals and not these multilateral organizations. So this really just buttresses part of what Donald Trump has been saying about these sort of multi-governmental organizations. But look, I also think David made a couple of really important points there. You know, there's a Jewish quarter in the old city that according to this resolution, is deemed illegal. And Israel won this land in a war, in the 6-day war. So granted, I realize the Obama administration believes that this is the key to world peace, or to at least peace in the Middle East. I think that's very naive anyway. But from Benjamin Netanyahu's standpoint, this is a provocation. It's a very serious thing. And this is President Obama thumbing his nose at one of our allies on his way out the door.
All right, guys, stick with us. We're going to have you back in just a minute. Thank you all very much. We have a lot ahead coming up on New Day. We will speak with the Israeli ambassador to the United States, Ron Dremmer. That's in our 8 o'clock hour.
Well, some people trying to get home from Christmas are up against a really big snowstorm. The system packing heavy snow and ice. Who'll be impacted? The latest information next.